Thank you for inquiring about my hiking excursion. I put this program together for 4 basic reasons. First one is if you've never been to altitude, and that could be 8,000 feet to 14,000 feet in most of the continental US, there's something about the majesty of being on top of a mountain. And suddenly you know that you're part of a bigger thing. The universe is there, and sometimes those problems that we have with bills, COVID, infection, high blood pressure, relationships, they all become very small. The second reason is because I try to get my clients and patients to exercise their mood muscle. And what do I mean by mood muscle? I think that if you look at the data, and this is all science, I back this up with science, and I might extrapolate the science, but there's something called a vagal brake. That's the vagus nerve right here, goes from the brain down to everything, the heart, the gut. When we can control the vagus nerve, you can control the stress response. What happens when you train or when you get to nature therapy is that you learn to throttle between the stress response and the love response. And those are 2 basic things that most humans are supposed to go between, but unfortunately nowadays we're taught nothing but stress response. And that sometimes is not a good idea. You want to be able to throttle between the 2. So hiking will actually give you the love response. And it actually takes you from between sympathetic, where you're stepping, parasympathetic, where you're going. And you kind of go between the 2 and you exercise that throttling. The third reason is that I actually want you to exercise your muscle. Maybe some of you might have an exercise routine that you partake in. Maybe some of you have tried it, but it hasn't sustained itself. Most Americans, New Year's Day until 2 to 3 weeks later are really fired up. But usually it drops off because other things get in the way. Well, when you have a program that you're obliged to, then you want to do the scheduled template of the program. And that'll build you up to not only get to summit, but also get you, I mean, you can fill your bag with as much weight as you want. I usually take a weight vest, 40 pounds. Everybody's a little different. You'll learn to carry the load, you'll learn to work on your core, you'll learn to step. A lot of us that have arthritis have a problem with stepping, and what do? We don't do anything, and that makes us more stiff. So with my team, and possibly your physical therapist, we want you to develop endurance, muscle responsiveness, a better lactic acid threshold, so you can tolerate pain. Or you can at least maybe burn some extra glucose, lower the cholesterol, lower the blood pressure. Which brings me to the 4th reason. I think that a lot of people get motivated with a group, but also get demotivated because other things come up. So the benefit of programmed exercise with a group is that if you're dead tired, if the world is crashing down on you, and then you get to the group, you can go into the group really fatigued. I've taken some yoga classes where I didn't feel like going to yoga, but I just got myself there and I kept child's pose, listened to the instructor, and took the energy from the rest of the group, and I imbibed that. So it was very charging, and then got the energy of that day. Better than caffeine with no side effects. 4.5 reason is that I think it keeps you accountable. So listen, some of these summits for the excursions I put together might be pretty lofty. Some of them are very easy. It all depends on the group. So if the group trains well and cohesive, we'll all get to 14,000 feet. But that's the beauty of this, is that the program is to benefit my participants, but it can be changed and personally designed. The template of the program will be to train you, whether you train in the gym or we go on trail. The objective is to be successful with slowly building up and ramping your endurance and your muscular strength. So at Endorphin Effect, the program will start with flexibility, like yoga, exercise endurance, especially with regards to weight training. And then we'll actually take the practical application and go on the field. And this would be the practical application, is taking what we taught you in the program at Endorphin Effect and applying it on trail. Even if you train like a marathoner, there's something different about carrying a pack and going up an incline. Also, if we get to altitude, sense of shortness of breath will overtake you. There's decreased oxygen at high altitude, and it will induce a hypoxemic-like response. If you're not ready for it, that can break your will. So sometimes using a restrictive device, putting on weight, having incline repeaters that are part of the program will all get you to that sense of success and get you ready for tolerating more. I think that that concept of hormesis is that when you induce a little bit of stress to the organism becomes stronger in the long run. I think my excursions do accomplish that. Finally hit summit. This is awesome. 14,046 feet. So this is what I see. Pick your summit.